Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Walker Mill Middle School. Welcome to our first live gaming conference here at Walker Mill. My name is Dr. Nicole Clifton. I'm glad to host this event on behalf of Thurman Jones and his team. I also am proud to stand with my Microsoft counterpart so that we can move forward and introduce and expose students to the world of technology on a larger basis.
Hi, I'm Ed. I'll be running the session today, and we'll actually be looking at Kodoo as a game development platform. It's a really fantastic platform to get students interested in technology at the beginning level and to really help them to grasp the concepts that really can help them to excel later on in computer science. Create Windows 8 applications, if they want to create Windows Phone applications, game to the Xbox, if they want to use the Kinect in one of their apps, I'm someone that can help them do that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me today. Raise your hand, shout them out. I'm pretty casual and I want to help you guys be as successful as possible. If you think of a question later, feel free to shoot me an email. My address is up here. It's ed.donahue@microsoft.com. You can also find me online at my blog on creepyed.com. And if you're on Twitter, OMG, me too, I'm on Twitter. I love Twitter, so you can find me on Twitter as well at creepyed. Just outside of my day-to-day job, I'm also a salsa dancer. Sometimes I do triathlons when the mood strikes, slash when I actually train for them. Turns out doing a triathlon with no training, not a smart idea. Don't do that. It's painful and it hurts really bad the next day. I majored in computer science when I was in school, so I am a huge geek. I love to build things. I love to program. And I love getting in the zone when you're programming and you're building stuff and suddenly you look at the clock and you're like, whoa, how is it 8 p.m.? Oh my gosh, did not see that coming. And I also really love mono-spaced fonts. If you guys don't know what a mono-spaced font is, Courier New, which is like, one of those standard fonts that ships with Microsoft Office. Courier New is a mono-spaced font. It means that every character takes up the same amount of space. And it's really great for type A personalities like me that like things really, really organized. So Kodoo Game Lab is a really cool thing, and I'm going to walk through just a really, really brief overview of it, and then I'm actually going to walk through some of the tutorials that come bundled with Kodoo. And then I'm going to let you guys go, and I want you to walk through the tutorials as well. So I want you to do the tutorials that I do, and that I show up here. It'll be pretty easy to follow. They're numbered, so if you do tutorials, say 1 through 5, you'll be pretty good. The goal is to get you guys to be experts in Kodoo, so that you can really work with others and teach others how to do that. So Kodoo is really all about creating games with a visual interface. Once we get into Kodoo, you're not going to write code. That's really the main thing. You're not going to write code. It's going to be very visual, and you're really going to be working with the mouse. It's entirely icon-based, so you're really going to be searching when you're looking at things and bringing in things to tell the game what to do. It's really going to be based on pictures. So, if you're looking for a fish, you'll go find the picture of a fish. And it's designed for game development. And in here, the programs are expressed in really easy terms. And they're using physical things like when you see something or when you hear something. And then there's also a timer-based system as well. And not only that, but you can do some fairly advanced stuff in Kodoo, and it's all using this really simple interface. And so it's teaching you a lot of really awesome concepts and a lot of really great game design concepts without you ever actually knowing that that's what's happening. So it's really cool. So Kodoo is, of course, more than programming. I'm kind of gloss over this slide since you guys aren't really going to be the exact ones that this applies to. However, it does help with collaboration. It helps you guys with problem-solving skills. And one of the best things that it does is that it actually teaches some of these really, really fantastic logic skills that will then make you more successful should you decide to pursue a degree in computer science or in engineering, which I highly recommend you do. Just as a quick plug for general technology, I mean, I know you guys are already here, so you already have some level of interest in technology. Please keep that level of interest. I mentioned that I graduated with a degree in computer science, so I majored in computer science and I minored in mathematics and Spanish. And I had friends that, you know, like, didn't love computer science as much as I did, so they did things like major in creative writing. And when I graduated, in less than a year, I had 4 different job offers. And I can tell you right now that my friends that majored in creative writing did not have 4 different job offers. So if you are, I don't know, someday thinking about getting a job or possibly making a boatload of money, technology is where you want to be for that. Startups are always taking off and being successful. You know, the big companies in technology are almost always hiring. They're always looking for smart people, so please, please, please stay in technology, and you know, that will really help you out later. So Codu works by, at the very first level, creating worlds. When we get into Codu, you'll see that there's a number of worlds that have already been created that you can build on. Any of the worlds that are available, you can play a world and then you can edit the world. So if you look at something and you're like, oh my gosh, this is really cool, I want to know how they did that, you can actually go into the world, you can edit it, and you can see exactly how they programmed those things and what statements they put in to make all of this stuff happen. Within your world, you're going to have programs. You can program each little object that you put in your world to do different things. And those programs are going to be made up of pages. So pages are a really, really neat concept. Hopefully we'll touch on them a bit today. But pages actually will allow you to create different actions or objects based on different conditions. So I could say something like, when this happens, go to page 2. And page 2 will have a different set of actions on it, but if that condition isn't met, we'll continue on with page 1. So it's a really neat way to actually create some cool interactivity with your game so that it's not the same every single time someone plays it. And on those pages are rules, of course, that actually set what it's going to do. The thing about computers is that they don't really do anything that the user doesn't tell them, so you need to give your game a set of rules for it to follow so that things know what they're doing. And those rules are made up of conditions and actions. What we're going to see is we're going to look at when-do statements. So the when-do statement is basically saying, when this condition is true, do this action. And that's really going to be the core and the basis of working in Codu Game Lab. So this is going to be really, really quick. I just want to get this up here, that if you guys don't have Codu, or if you want it at home, you can either search online for Codu Game Lab, or you can head to aka.ms/Codu. Both of them will take you to the same spot. And on there, it's going to be Fuse Labs, and there's going to be a lot of tutorial videos that you guys can watch as well that will go into kind of some gotchas. We'll have beginner concepts, advanced concepts, all sorts of stuff there. And in addition, it will point you to some of the Codu community. They're, of course, on Facebook, they're on Twitter, and there's a space for you guys to actually share games that you create with the rest of the Codu community. With that being said, I'm going to pop out of this PowerPoint presentation and actually get into Codu. To begin with, I just want you guys to watch, and then we'll actually have some time for you guys to be hands-on with Codu. I'll be here to answer questions, and if I understand, we'll also have volunteers around to help out. So please use the volunteers as a resource. They may be new with Codu as well, but they have a lot of experience in general, probably debugging problems, and looking at problems from different perspectives. So definitely use the resources that you have today. Yes? Oh, yeah, like now? We could do it now. Okay. Do we want to do that? Sure. Okay. I'm sorry. No, that's so fantastic. So before we get into the whole actually bread and butter of this, we want to actually introduce our volunteers so you guys know who to ask for things. I know that there's probably a lot of us and you're like, oh my god, not only do I have to do stuff today, I have to remember names. Try your best and don't worry about asking us our names again. It's okay, we are really familiar with our own names and we would love to tell you our names again. So go for it.
Hi everyone, how are you? Good morning. Okay, my name is Shahnaz Kamberi, Professor Kamberi at DeVry University. We have Professor Ike and Professor Xu back there. We're from DeVry. We have a gaming and simulation programming course there. We have a web game design course at DeVry. Basically, just wanted to introduce ourselves, and what we're here for is when you're doing a tutorial with Ed, if you are stuck or if you're having problems, we're here, we'll walk around, we'll be walking around here, and we'll help you. Okay? So just wanted to introduce us. Okay, thank you.
And again, feel free to ask them names again. I know, for me, it's like, oh my god, I have to remember names. Oh. So don't feel bad about that. Okay, so let me pop out of this. Yay! Okay. And I'm actually going to start up Kodu. I'm going to let that start up. So, and we're running a little late, and I realize that, and I do want to get you guys some really good hands-on time. And from my own experience, one of the best ways to get started and get ramped up on a new technology is to actually have hands-on time with it. That's how a lot of people just teach themselves in general new stuff. I know I've learned several programs that way just by spending time with it and figuring out what can I do with it. And so that's really going to be some of the best learning experiences that you guys will have. So I do want to get through these tutorials fairly quickly so that we can give you guys some hands-on time with it immediately, and also to try and stay on schedule because I know we started really late. Okay, so this is going to be the beginning screen when you come into Kodu. This is completely navigable with your mouse, but you can also actually plug in an Xbox controller. So if you guys have wired Xbox controllers are all USB connections at the end, so you can actually plug in an Xbox controller into Kodu and use it that way, and use it with the thumbsticks and your A, B, X, Y buttons. So for what we're doing right now, we're going to go into load world. And right now this is showing all of the worlds that we could possibly load. I'm not sure which version you guys are going to be using, but depending on the version, you may have this Mars rover discovery module in here, and these are a bunch of worlds that are modeled after Mars, and they came out around the time when the rover was actually on Mars, when it was taking pictures. So it was really, really cool what our team has done there. So you can also filter these at the top. So you can say, okay, I want samples, right? And these are a bunch of game samples that you can actually walk through and look at and see what they're doing. For what we're doing right now, we're going to go into lessons. And I'm going to walk through some of these just to give you guys an idea of what it looks like and how you navigate through Kodu. So right now I'm just clicking this arrow key. If you want to go faster, just move your mouse to the side of the screen, and that will scroll faster. I'm going to walk through this first tutorial, and here are the tutorials that I'm hoping that you guys can look at today. The first tutorial is important, along with programming Kodu to find apples, the add and paint terrain tutorial so that you can learn how to edit your world. In addition to the score tutorial, and the glass walls tutorial will be a really good one as well. This other series, it's Kodu and the Golden Apple. Kodu and the Golden Apple is a really great tutorial to walk through as well for some more advanced concepts, such as having your Kodu follow a path, and having your Kodu do things and have interaction with the keyboard and mouse. We can walk through a couple of these. Some of them are a little difficult to figure out, so being able to look at, there are solutions on here. So being able to look at the solution is really fantastic as well, because as I mentioned earlier, Anything that's in Kodu, you can look at and you can open up and you can edit to see what has been done. So, to walk through this very first one, this is the first tutorial, and clicking on the tutorial, it comes up with this option to play. So we're going to go ahead and play. And as soon as you come into the first tutorial, it's like, yay, you started the tutorial, I'm so excited. And so it's, as you go through the tutorials, there will be instructions that pop up and tell you pretty much exactly what you need to do. So this tutorial is going to teach us how to add a Kodu or other objects to our world, and it's going to teach our Kodu how to respond to the user control. And just so you know, Kodu is that little character that you see on there. Kodu is sort of the main character here that we can do. But the first thing that we see is we're going to push escape to go to edit mode. In edit mode, you're always going to see what exactly you can do in that mode. So in this mode, I can drag the terrain with my left mouse button, and I can orbit my camera with my right mouse button. And then I can also do some stuff with the scroll wheel and work with zooming, and then if I had any objects or characters on the screen, I would be able to tab through them. A quick note on here, this tutorial says click on the object tool in the menu to add or program objects. This is the object tool. If you ever want to click on an object, if you want to edit the object, if you want to add an object, delete an object, you always need to be in the object tool. I do this a lot as I come in and I'm like, okay, I want to click this, and I'm in the move camera tool, so always make sure you're in the object tool. Once you're in the object tool, your menu options over here have changed. So we're going to left click on the ground, and we're going to come up with this radial menu, and that's going to have us actually choose what object we want to insert. So we're going to insert a Kodu, and ta-da! We have a Kodu, and we've inserted him. So our tutorial is saying, way to go, you completed the first step. Now we actually want to play our game. We can play our game with the green play button, and ta-da! Here's our game. This is our very first Kodu game. But there's not a lot happening because we haven't told it to do anything. So now we're actually going to go into edit mode, and we're going to program it to do some things. So this is where I was talking about that when do statement, and we'll see that in a minute. And so for this statement that's up here, I don't know if you guys can really see it, but you'll be able to see it on your screens as well. But the statement that's up here says, when see apple, do move toward. And so if you were to put that into a proper sentence, it's probably pretty self-explanatory when just reading it. But essentially it's saying, when the Kodu sees an apple, it's going to move towards it. So I'm going to go ahead and click continue. And it, escape is going to bring us into edit mode. And so again, if I'm here clicking it and nothing's happening with my Kodu, it's probably because I'm in the wrong tool. So I want to make sure I'm in the object tool, and I can select my Kodu now. I could, change its color if I wanted, but mainly what I want right now is I want to program the Kodu. And so this is that when do statement structure. So right now we're going to select when, and we're going to select keyboard because we want our Kodu to be able to move around. So we're going to say when keyboard, and we're going to add to our when statement here by selecting the arrow keys. So this is saying when I'm using the keyboard arrow keys, the action that I want to happen there is that I want to move, right? And so now we've actually programmed our Kodu to move, and we're going to come back to the general edit menu, and then we're going to push the green play button. And now, since I programmed those arrow keys to move, I'm actually pushing the up arrow key, and I can push the left arrow key and the up arrow key again, and I can now move around our screen so that I'm actually interacting with the Kodu and I'm telling it to do things. And we did that all with kind of one line of a simple programming statement. So at this point, you could add other characters using the same idea. We could add a cycle, we could add a flying fish. There's a number of other things that we can do, but you now have the general idea of the when do statements and how they actually operate when you're I'm going to head back home. I'm going to go to load the next world. And programming Kodu to find apples is going to be the next tutorial on there. So I'm going to walk through that. And essentially, what we want to do here is we want to have our Kodu, our Kodu object and our Kodu character actually find apples on the screen, and we want it to eat the apples. So I'm going to hit continue. And again, we want to add objects to our game. So I'm going to be in the object tool. And I'm going to click anywhere on the ground. I'm going to add an apple, and the apple appears. Again, I'm going to click on the ground again, and my apple appears. And then I'll click on the ground again so that I have 3 apples here. And then I want to create a Kodu in the same way. So I'm going to put Kodu in the middle of the apples. And he's now appearing in the middle of those apples. What I want to do next is I actually want to program Kodu to find the apples and then to do something with them. So for this program, what you want to do is you want to say when Kodu sees an object, so we have to make sure that it's not just when Kodu sees, because he's kind of seeing all the time, but we want to be able to specify what object we want him to take an action on. So when Kodu sees an object of apple, and again, so there are lots of objects in here. You might have to search through them. There's this more radial menu as well. If you know, you're like, I know there's a heart somewhere in here and I want him to pick it up, but you don't see it on this first menu. In addition, if you're looking for some of the characters, they're going to come up in other menus as well. For us, we really just want to do this apple. But so we're saying when we see the apple, we want our Kodu to move towards it. And these are all of those actions that we can take there. So we're going to move towards our apple, and we'll actually see the Kodu do that. But before we do that, we actually want our Kodu to eat the apples, right? So that was part of the tutorial, that we want Kodu to eat the apples. So as our Kodu is moving towards the apple, at some point he's going to bump into the apple. So when we bump our apple, which is our object here, we're actually going to eat it. And that's going to be the action that we do there. So we'll continue on, and now let's actually see it run our game. So okay, our Kodu has bumped into the first apple, and now it saw the second one, so it's moving to our second one. And it's bumped into it and ate the next one, and now it's moving on to our third one, right? So we've told the Kodu this is exactly what we want you to do, and it's going through, and it's doing all of that stuff. So we now know how to use those when-do statements to actually have our Kodu do something and tell it to do things. We can, add more objects to the screen now if we wanted it to eat stars or eat coins or eat some other object. We could do that as well here. I'm actually going to head back home for the next tutorial and load the next world. This one is a really easy tutorial. The Add and Paint Terrain tutorial actually shows you that you can change the look and feel of your world. So this is your little Kodu world, and you guys can really put it together however you want. So on this one, we're going to add and delete terrain, and this is our world right now, and this is what's in there. So we're going to push escape to edit, and this is the camera tool, right? So this moves the camera. This one adds objects, and it adds new things to the world. And then this paintbrush actually adds terrain. So if you're looking at this and you're thinking, hey, I actually want a bigger space for my Kodu to move around in, this is really going to be the tool that you want to use. So right now, you use a left mouse to paint, and then you use a right mouse to delete stuff. So if I'm over here and I'm painting and I'm like, oh my god, this is so fantastic, oh, I love it, woohoo, woohoo, this is so great. And then I add something over here, and I realize I don't want that there, so I can right click, and it's used like an eraser, and I can erase that bit there. In addition, I can also change the material. So right now I'm painting with this guy, but just by using arrow keys, I can select a new material to use. So if I'm like, I actually really want to use some polka dots, a number of different terrain surfaces that you can use. In addition, there's different brushes that you can do too. If I want to actually do polka dots of polka dots, which is a little meta, but you can do it. You can do that with the circle brushes. So there's a couple other things with terrain that I want to show you before moving on. And that's creating hills and valleys, creating flat ground, and then creating really spiky and hilly ground. So you can create hills and valleys basically by selecting this create hills and valleys option. And when you just hold your mouse down over a point, it will start creating kind of a hill for you. And you can, have a bunch of mountains in there. You can, really do what you want with those. So let's say, I create a bunch of mountains here, but I kind of want to flatten the top. I can do that with this next tool, which is flatten, and it makes the ground level and smooth. And I can use that here at the top to say, actually, I want these things, a little lower than what I thought, and they'll flatten out. So they were really tall, but now the tops are a little stunted to show that I smoothed it out at the top as well. And that's something that you can change the brush size with as well. So the next one is to actually roughen the ground. And this is a little different from just creating hills, and we'll see that. So when I want to create like a really spiky and hilly ground, it does it in this kind of random formation. I hope you guys can kind of see that. But so just doing it once is creating these little tiny hills and spikes. If I were to just sit here and hold it, it's going to create them like almost like skyscrapers that you really have to navigate, and that's going to make it a lot harder for your character to get through, since your character won't be able to move through a solid mass. And then, if you want to edit those again and you want to flatten them, you just click it and it'll come back to flat ground. And that's how you can undo that. In addition, you can always do an undo here. So, I have a bunch of things that I can undo. From there, I can also redo them. Just so if you do something and you're like, oh God, I was just kidding, I totally did not want to do that, you can undo that as well. So I'm going to head back. And load the next world in here. And we're going to go through the score tutorial and the glass walls tutorial, see if you guys have any major questions. And if not, look at some of the golden apple tutorials. So on the score tutorial, this is actually showing us how to keep score. So one of the great things about games is that a lot of times you have a score. You can compare your score with friends. If you're playing games on Facebook, it's going to share your score and you can compete against your friends. So we want to make sure that we have some way to keep score. So in this world, we're going to have a cycle, we're going to have a tree, and we have several apples that are already given to us. Our cycle is already programmed to find all of the apples and eat them. And we can actually look at the cycle's programming. You guys for sure know how to do that by actually going into the cycle's programming and saying when we see an apple, move towards it, and when we bump into an apple, we want to eat it. But we're also going to add some other functionality in there to actually keep score. So we're going to say when our cycle bumps into the apple, not only are we going to eat it, but we're also going to increase the score. So just to see it run really fast, this is the cycle running around and eating and bumping into and eating all of the apples. And so he's almost going to finish up, and we'll go into edit mode to show you guys what to do there. So going into edit mode, again, if we're in the camera, in the move camera tool, we can't click on our guys, so we need to make sure we're in the object tool. I'm going to right click the cycle, and we're going to go to program. And so at this point you guys will have already written this program because you will have gone through the first tutorial. So we've seen this a number of times. So we're also going to say on here when our Kodu bumps into the apple, bumps into our apple, we're actually going to say that we want to score, right? So this plus is going to be we're going to score, and we're going to set what color to score with. So we're going to score for our red, and now we can play and we can actually see what happens at this point. So we'll go ahead and play this. And so now we actually have this score coming up every time we eat an apple. And it's not only coming up on the screen as our Kodu is eating them, but it's also showing up in this upper corner to say, oh, yay, we're doing that. So we figured out how to keep score. But we can also use our characters and our objects in Kodu to actually look at the score value and do something with that. So we're going to program the tree to actually end the game once 5 apples are eaten. So we're going to hit continue, and we're going to go into our edit mode again, and we're actually, this time, we're going to program our tree. And we're going to say when we've scored, on here we have a number of points, right? So when we've scored 5 points on our red score, we're going to define the color, because we defined our color when we are adding the score, so we'll define it again. So on the red score, we're going to end the game, and that can be found in the game object and under end. So we'll escape through that, and we'll continue, and we'll play to see what that actually did. So we're going through, and we're eating the apples, and we eat 3. And of course, once we eat 5, something should happen because the tree will make that happen. So because we told the tree we only want 5 apples to be eaten, at the end it said, hey, your game is over, and that's the end of the game. So you can use scores for a number of different things. And you guys can start thinking about what you want to use a score for, if you want to use a score. And so at this point, I just want to show you the glass walls tutorial. This one is actually really, really useful. It turns out glass walls are something in game development that keep your characters from falling off of the screen, right? If we didn't define the glass wall, our characters will be able to drive off the screen, which really isn't what we want. So we're going to watch our turtle, and our turtle is just moving forward, and he's having a good time until he falls off of the screen, because the world that we built, he went past kind of the ground that we had defined for him. So that's really unfortunate, and poor little turtle is now like nowhere to be found. So we actually would want to go turn on glass walls in the settings menu, and this is a really great way to just make sure that your characters and objects stay within the bounds that you've set for them. So at this point, we're going to come into the edit mode, and this time we actually want to go into settings. So settings is that very last icon, and there are tons and tons and tons of settings, right? So just scrolling through these really, really fast, like there are tons of settings. And so coming up to the top, the setting that we actually want here is our glass walls setting. So I'm going to click on glass walls until it turns green, so that we know that glass walls are now turned on. And I'm going to play our game again, and we'll see what happens with our little turtle this time now that we have glass walls on. Essentially, he shouldn't go over, and he's not going over. He's actually, of course, right into the glass wall over and over again, because he's probably programmed to just move forward. So there's a lot of other things that we can do in settings. One of them is setting our camera mode. We can set the camera spring strength. We can do compass stuff. A lot of it is going to be more advanced settings. Glass walls is one of those really easy settings that we can turn on right away. And actually changing the sky is another one of those really easy settings. So changing the sky is super easy. So I'm going to change the sky to sky 1. I'm going to press escape and then hit continue, and now I'm going to play it. And as you can see, the sky has now changed. It's green on the bottom and blue on the top. And our turtle is, of course, hitting our glass wall and not going off of our screen. So loading a new world, that was a really, really, really quick and brief overview of Kodu. Are there any big questions, any big issues that you guys are seeing that you're like, oh my gosh, I don't understand that at all? that you guys are working really well together. So I see some of you guys paired up. What I want you to do is periodically, I want you to switch places. I'm sure one of you is controlling the mouse and someone else is kind of saying, hey, we should put this here, we should put this there. But I want to make sure that everyone gets to have the experience of adding objects to Kodu. Everyone gets to have the experience of actually going through and programming stuff and being able to set those when-do statements. So please periodically switch off just to make sure that each of you get those experiences. I will be up here. We have our volunteers around. If you guys want to think about kind of what sort of game you want to design, a really great way to do that is to actually look at some of the samples, right? So you could look at, pure plasma racing and actually open that up. You could play it, see if you like it. If you like it, you can edit it. Or you could go in and create your own from your own blank world. And you could, kind of copy some of the things and some of the programming stuff that they're doing. So I'm gonna let you guys go because I know Kodu is so super exciting and it's one of those things that you want to get in and you want to get used to right away. If you have any questions, again, let us know. Raise your hand. Come find us. We want to make sure that you guys have a really good time. Okay, go.
Maybe come make your own stuff and such now.
I should sit here. I can get it. I don't need to sit here. Sit back. You need better. He's playing that guitar side. So we can program that.
Oh, yeah, letters. Press G. Oh, action.
I don't think you'll want it. So you guys have it. Alright, there we go. Wait, how's the little line? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we can click.
Yeah, fellas.
That means give me a kill all of you guys. Let's go give me a give me some combat, not probably.
Creative position.
Hey, how much?
I'm trying to.
Hi, we're here today with Patriot Center. We're here from Prince George's Community College. My name is Samantha Garcia Lopez and I'm a coordinator of recruitment and community relations. And I brought two of our enrollment services student ambassadors with me today, Ben and Alex. We'll be helping out today with the pre-training for the video gaming competition, which will be December 1st at Prince George's Community College. Come out and join us.
Hi, I'm Canberry from DeVry University. This is Professor Joe Shu, Professor Prince Ike. Our experience here so far has been great. Mostly we work with undergraduate students teaching gaming, simulation, programming, computer science, web graphic design. So we don't really get to experience gaming with middle school students. So our experience so far has been great. Middle school students, they picked up the program right away. Very good. They're creating 2-player games, 3-player games, different genre of games. They're very impressed and having a lot of fun.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Very excited.
Thank you.